It's the Behind the Shade show.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Behind the Shades. There's a lot to talk about. I missed you guys. You guys missed me because I definitely missed you guys. It seems there's been just a little bit of renovations in people's romantic lives. So we're going to talk about Nick Palome and Malena Palome, who got divorced recently, and listen to some of the stuff that's coming out.
What I have here is what they call Malena Midtoy Palom's First Amendment disposition of issues. So this is essentially what she wanted. I'm going to read the document to the best of my ability because I can't read very well, but I'm going to explain things so everyone can kind of understand what she wanted and how it went down. Keep in mind, we each had this. This one's hers. This one's mine. We'll go over mine, but first let's do hers. Hers is a bit longer. The first thing she wanted, and by the way this works is it's essentially a line with for a check mark and then the thing that they wanted. So the first thing that she wanted was to grant the divorce between the parties on the grounds of insupportability. This is very important, and I'm explaining exactly what that means right now. In Texas, a divorce can be granted on the grounds of insupportability, which is the state's no-fault divorce ground. The Texas Family Code defines insupportability as a conflict or discord of personalities between the spouses that destroys legitimate ends of the marriage relationship and prevents any reasonable expectation of reconciliation. In practical terms, it means neither spouse has to prove wrongdoing, no evidence of adultery, cruelty, abandonment, or other fault is required. The court only needs to find that the marriage has become unworkable and that reconciliation is not reasonably expected.
Imagine someone breaking up with you because not that you did anything wrong. It's just, I'm just not feeling this anymore. You know what I mean? You still fart in the mornings, your breath still stinks when you wake up, you leave the toilet seat up in the mornings, I fall through, my cheeks always get wet. It's not me, it is you. And because of that reason, I no longer want to be in this marriage. But here is a long list of everything that I want from you.
Award Malena Midtoy Palom a disproportionate shares of the party's estate for the following reasons, including but not limited to. So she wanted more than 50-50. Respondent's economic and financial abuse of the petitioner, respondent's failure to permit access to the party's community property accounts, including for purposes of insight and access to such community funds, benefits the innocent spouse may have derived from continuation of the marriage, disparity of earning power of the spouses and their ability to support, earning power, business opportunities, capacities, and the ability of the spouses, nature of the property involved in the division, waste, and attorney's fees to be paid. So to explain that, the judge, in order to grant Malena her disproportionate share, would have to find something that fits those sort of grounds. Any of those bullet points that I read off. Next, confirmation of Malena Midtoy's separate property as outlined in the attached spreadsheet, meaning that there's an attached spreadsheet here that has her own property in it. Makes sense. Next, order Malena Midtoy Palom's waste claim for Nicholas Michael Palom's excessive expenditures. That was over $100,000 they had claimed against me. The next thing she wanted, and this is one of the reasons why we had to go to trial, order Malena Midtoy Palom's request for post-divorce maintenance for a period of 5 years from February 1st, 2026 in the amount of $5,000 a month. So she wanted me to pay her $5,000 a month for 5 years. We don't even have kids. Next, and this was the biggest one, the most important one, and it's going to take some time to explain it because this is also why we really had to go to trial. Order Malena Midtoy Palom be granted a judgment against Nicholas Michael Palom with specific language securing such interests against the shares and stock held by Nicholas Michael Palom with his interests in OTK Ventures, OTK Media, and Kings Gaming Labs Incorporated.
Well, you thought I was going to let you off the hook? You got to maintain all of this, okay? I want my hair done. I want my nails did. I want my butt done. I want boobs implants. I want the whole nine. I want the dip and the chips. You understand? Because I need that maintenance. $5,000 a month? Oh my God, that's $60K a year. And I still have the income that I'm going to earn. And I want cash, baby. I want every red cent. I want that guap. I want that Skrilla. I want it all. So, what can we learn from this is that two things can be true at the same time as we take a step back. Relationships can end for any reason under the sun. And I think that is fair. And here's why. If someone doesn't want to be in a relationship with me, or if I don't want to be in a relationship with them, I believe that we should have the right to exercise our departure from that relationship without kicking and screaming, without a diaper change. I think that I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm not feeling this. Let me go on my merry way. But what I disagree with is that I have to pay you to leave because there's only one type of job that gets paid to leave, right? We don't pay whores to come over. We pay them to leave. So when you're creating that narrative, how do you view yourself? Like, granted, it's 5 years, $5,000 every month for 5 years is not a long period of time, but does that mean that you think that you can't maintain yourself? And if so, how were you able to function before you got into this relationship? These are questions that we have to ask. See, if there's children involved, I can understand because that child has got accustomed to a certain type of lifestyle. And that lifestyle, in my opinion, should be maintained. But if it's two people without any children, then the expectation as adults is that you can maintain yourself. Will your lifestyle change? Yes. For the better? Maybe. For the worse? Perhaps. But that is not a me issue. That is a you issue. And that's where I find it difficult to accept that we're paying people to leave that weren't there for a short time, that the expectation was there for a long time. But now let's listen to what else is happening with Nick and Malena.
What we have here is the court's ruling. This is what everyone's been waiting for, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. Dear counsel, from January 12th, 2026 to January 13th, 2026, the court presided over this case and took it under advisement. The ruling of the court is as follows. Divorce is granted on the grounds of insupportability. It's good. That's what I wanted. That's what Malena wanted. It's a no-fault divorce. Next, division of community property. 50% to Mr. Palm and 50% to Miss Palm, with the exception of King's Gaming Lab, Starforge, ordered to be split 55% to Miss Palm and 45% to Mr. Palm. The court finds that the disproportionate share of those funds are warranted due, number one, the disparity of the earning power, number two, nature of the property involved, and three, waste. So let me explain before everyone gets all excited what that means. I have a very small ownership in Starforge. She gets 5% more than I do, and if you do the math, it ends up being about 15K. If you remember during Malena's disposition of issues, she had asked for a 60-40 split because of things like economic and financial abuse of the petitioner. She did not get that. The community estate was essentially just 50-50 split down the middle, with the exception of Starforge, which is about a $15,000 extra towards Malena. And it makes sense to me. I will probably earn more than her going forward, and that seems pretty fair to me. Up next, and this is very, very, very important because it has to do with my shares, Nick and NMP LOL are designated as constructive trustee for Miss Palm's interest. So what that means, I don't have to send her my shares. I don't have to send her cash for the shares. I will hold her shares in my name until they're sold, if and when they're sold. So that was a big, big, big deal for me. Doesn't put me in generational debt, and if they sell, they sell. Up next, attorney's fees, denied. Each party pays their own attorney's fees. Motion to seal the court records, denied. Injunctions, denied. Post-divorce maintenance, denied. That means me not being able to talk about the case was denied, and the $5,000 a month for 5 years that Malena wanted was also denied. She did not get that.
So the offer that Nick gave his wife was a 50-50 split of assets, savings, everything. And I think that's a very good starting point. She wanted a 60-40. She wanted 90% of the cash in the stock. She wanted some things that she wasn't necessarily entitled to, but she felt she was. So the court came back and said what? They basically said that everything that Nick offered you is reasonable, and here is the reward. And instead of the 60-40 or the 90-10% of the cash, when it comes to the stocks, it's a 55-45 in her favor. When your first recourse is trying to get as much money and as much money and as many of the assets as possible, it rubs everyone the wrong way because now it paints you as someone that is money hungry. So let this be a lesson to everyone out there that even though you're in a relationship with someone and it ends badly for whatever the reason, the way you walk out of the door should be even more graceful than the way you walked into or through the door.